On LinkedIn, the real opportunity there is to bring your prospects, bring your customers into the conversation and use it as an engagement tool to get them bought into what it is that you're offering.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of More Than Marketing. I'm your host, Arsha Mirsha, and today I have Charlie Whyman with me from the UK. We're going to be talking about B2B LinkedIn tips for developing business using LinkedIn. I mean, who is in B2B and not on LinkedIn nowadays? Like, you have to be. Doesn't make sense not to be. Charlie is also expecting in a couple weeks, so huge congrats, Charlie. Thanks for taking the time to be with me today, even though you're, a couple weeks or minutes possibly from the hospital and giving life. So thanks for your time. And Charlie, I see that you've been, you have a very unique background. We were talking earlier, engineering, and then into marketing, and then business development, sales, and now you've created your own course for people to, it sounds like, learn how to most effectively use LinkedIn to generate business. That's right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what I saw a real gap in the market. There were lots of people teaching you how to generate leads on LinkedIn, but there weren't very many people that were actually showing you the full process, which is, okay, once you've generated those leads, how do you then close them into sales?
Brilliant.
So I
that's great.
Which also focused on building your authority in your industry, in your niche, or your niche if you're listening to these days.
Yes.
Because for me, it's all about building authority and setting yourself up as the go-to expert. And I developed an accidental personal brand. I didn't know what a personal brand was when I was working as a marketer, as a salesperson in business development. And then I realized, oh, wait, okay, there's a huge amount of power in employees having their own personal brand, as well as CEOs, as well as C-level executives for business development and also for sort of sales and leadership too. So
sure. Yeah, you don't, if you're a B2B service company, a lot of times what you see is that the owners or the C-level, whatever, they will have the authority, they'll have the presence, and then they'll be the main rainmaker in when it comes to business development. But it sounds like you're saying, hey, look, and it makes sense. I mean, if you're in business development, if you're in sales or business development, like, you have to be using LinkedIn among other tools, and your course teaches you how to create that authority. Is that right? Can you tell me a little bit about your background though? Because we were talking before and it was really interesting, engineering to.
So it's a very colourful background. So I studied engineering at university. Very quickly learned that I was not going to become an engineer. I was way more interested in the way that humans behaved, what motivated them, what made them do things. But I wasn't really in a great place at the time. So I left. I did 2 years at university, then I left and I moved to Italy, set up my very first business, which was making and selling olive oil. Cool. I guess that was kind of my first experience of marketing, which was kind of... I created this brand. I'd entered the oil into awards. We won awards. I was selling it in market stores and delis and things like that, and pretty much figuring it out as I went along. I didn't know what I was doing.
You're wearing every hat. I mean, you had to do everything. When you're in business, you have to, you're the salesperson, you're the marketer, you're the product person, you're the HR, you're everything, right?
Exactly. So that was a lot of fun, but I had a really bad relationship with learning. So I was, kind of typical engineer, thinking, I could do it all myself. So it was great. I was 20. It was a lot of fun, but I wanted to go back into industry and I wanted to learn more and I wanted to do more. So I then found myself working for grant funding in innovation projects in healthcare and sports. And then I was offered a job. It was just on the off chance, offered a job for an engineering company as their marketing assistant.
So that fits.
So I accepted the job. I didn't know anything about the industry because we were selling to surveyors and the mining industry. I didn't know anything about the product, which was laser scanning technology. And
You're not classically trained as a marketer,
no, exactly.
right? That might be actually a good thing, frankly.
You know
I
what?
don't know.
I do genuinely believe that the fact that I'm not a trained marketer has worked to my advantage.
I believe that.
My attitude to life is all about helping other people, and about, if somebody has a question, find how you can answer that question, or how you can help them with whatever problem that they have.
Add value before extracting it.
Exactly.
Simply put.
So I was traveling around the world to all of these sales conferences, these marketing conferences and things, and trying to understand a bit more about what people really wanted. And what I ended up doing was creating this like accidental personal brand, as I said before.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I know. So everybody kept coming to me for inquiries. And my boss at the time, he said to me, he was just like, you're the best salesperson in the company.
No.
I was like, well, I think I was 24.
I didn't know I'm doing sales.
Obviously, looking like I do, playing in a very, very sort of like male-dominated world. And I was like, I don't want to be a salesperson. I had this awful view of what salespeople look like, which was completely incorrect. And he said to me, he was just like, you know what? Sales is all about developing relationships and finding the right product or the right solution for a problem or for a person. And as long as you're honest and as long as you're doing the right thing, then you'll go far. And that was a kind of like a really, really good piece of advice. And yeah, so within 2.5, 3 years, I went from marketing assistant to head of global sales and marketing. Got involved in setting up the offices in Australia, in North America, in South Africa.
Wow.
Was there for 6 years, and then I moved and I got a job as head of marketing for a company that served the global shipping industry. Did that for a year. And then I kind of came to that realization that I thought, you know what? I could help a huge amount more people if I did this as a consultant and I did this as a trainer. So it kind of gave me the motivation to go out on my own and create my own program, if you like, based on my own experience, because I knew sort of what could help people, which is where we're at today.
I love it. What a cool background. I love that. And it sounds like, to your point, like it kind of happened naturally just by you, being authentic, being yourself, trying to just help people solve their problems before they even paid you. Right. And
yeah, exactly. Because my ethos in life generally is to just be really curious about what's going on around you, and to never be afraid of putting yourself in front of an opportunity. And, a prime example of that, I was talking to somebody yesterday, was that I was in South Africa at a conference, and we just employed a new salesperson. And they had this opportunity to go and demonstrate this new product down the world's deepest gold mine.
Oh, cool.
And she didn't like being underground. So she was kind of like approaching this in a really negative place. And I was like, you're so lucky. I was like, I'd love to do that.
Right.
My boss at the time just thought I'd had a few too many glasses of wine. The next day he just said, if you want to go, change your flight and go with her.
Wow.
So I did.
Aren't you like 30 some months pregnant and you were just in the...
Oh, no. That was, this was about 4 years ago.
Oh, thank goodness. I was like, holy smokes, like quit drinking wine and going down deep mine shafts when you're, right? Like,
it's kind of, I love opening myself up to new opportunities. And I'm the sort of person that will figure out a way, even if I've never done it before, or even if I don't know how to do it, I'll know that I can figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's a great attitude to have, and I think like that kind of parlays into, hey, look, if I'm new to biz dev, or if I am even a marketer, I need to understand what you said. Curiosity, I really like that. I believe that sales is the customer of marketing. Right? So if you're in a B2B organization, product or service, doesn't really matter. You have a marketing team, you have a sales team, maybe they're one person each, or maybe they're 100 people each, doesn't matter. The point is, traditionally what you see is sales and marketing kind of butting heads, right? You know this, you're nodding your head. But I think that if marketing can be more curious about the sales process, about the life of a sales rep or a business development person, and I think if the salespeople can be more empathetic to and open-minded to let those marketers in, add a little dose of curiosity in there, and you have this alignment, not this butting of heads. So I'm trying to preach that, and it sounds like you agree with that. How does your course help with that? And what tips do you have for, developing business using LinkedIn? Not just leads, but it sounds like, I know that's open-ended.
I think that the challenge with a lot of people on LinkedIn is that they look at each different part of the process rather than the customer journey as a whole.
Okay.
And I preach this all the time, but I kind of add an extra layer, which is customer service, because I feel if you look at marketing, sales, and customer service as a whole, you get this real deep understanding of what your customers are like. Because in order to be an effective marketer, especially in B2B, you need to be able to demonstrate your authority in your market, so they know you're the best at what you do. The ins and outs, and you are the go-to person. And you also want to demonstrate your empathy in your market. You want to tell your customers that you understand their problems, you understand their challenges, and you have the right solution for them. But from a marketer's point of view, if sales and customer service are not communicating with the marketing team, then what you find is that you have a marketing team that's essentially going in blind, that's second guessing the market, that's second guessing the customer base, and trying to figure out what language to use, how to say it, how to present it, and to do it in a very generic way.
And then they lack confidence when they don't have that. To your point, they second guess, and then they lack that confidence, and that probably comes through in the messaging and in the copy that they use.
And I think as well, like a confidence hit with that as well is that, especially in my experience, is that sales teams are quite ruthless in saying that marketing is not providing them with what it is that they need, but they're not very good at actually articulating exactly what it is that they need. So you've got marketing getting frustrated because they want to do a good job, but they're not really quite meeting the needs of the sales team. And then you've got sales getting really frustrated because they know what they need to send to their customers, but they can't communicate it in a way that marketing can respond to. So
help us solve this, Charlie. Like, what do we do? I mean, what is the antidote or the silver bullet, so to speak? How do you, right? Like, I mean, what do you?
To be brutally honest, the silver bullet to this is to not have a head of sales or a head of marketing, is to have a head of sales and marketing. And
love it.
Get everybody talking. And again, it's not just sales and marketing, it's also customer service, because customer service deal with the questions, the support, and there is so much insight that you can learn from the customer service.
There's so much content sitting in both the sales and the customer service departments. It's not necessarily created yet, but the basis, the foundation, the seeds for it are there. Because otherwise, what's marketing doing? If they're not talking to sales and service, what are they doing? They're doing keyword research. They're looking at what competitors are writing about, and that's the basis, right? Or they're like, hey, what's hot in our industry? We're going to write about that, or we're going to create content around that. Whereas if they're talking to sales, they're learning the objections that they're hearing. And talking to customer service, they're hearing about features that that they want or they enjoy. Now they can use that in their advertisements, in their blog posts, in their service, whatever, in their website. So I think there's a ton of content sitting in the hills, but this is not LinkedIn specific. And I really want to pick your brain on LinkedIn stuff, because
okay, cool. So
if I can,
absolutely. Yeah. So from a LinkedIn's point of view, again, everybody looks at LinkedIn from a lead gen point of view, and it's okay, how many connections can I collect? How many potential customers can I add into my network? And if you just see LinkedIn as a lead generation platform, you will be missing out on so many different opportunities that you can use it for. And one of the, in my experience, the biggest lever for LinkedIn is your ability to nurture and follow up with existing prospects, and also to be able to convert existing customers into fans, advocates, and referral partners. Because you have this ability to communicate with a community of people that you're serving.
Why not do that over email, though? Couldn't you nurture them over email?
You can do it over email, but I find emails very formal. And an email, generally, people automatically presume that you're asking something of them when you send them an email.
I can see that.
The other thing about B2B marketing is that it's generally very robotic, very corporate. And a lot of B2B marketers, I don't believe they do this intentionally, but they talk at their audience rather than with their audience. So on LinkedIn, the real opportunity there is to bring your prospects, bring your customers into the conversation and use it as an engagement tool to get them bought into what it is that you're offering. And instead of just going onto LinkedIn, screaming from the rooftops about how amazing your products and solutions are, use LinkedIn as that tool that you can go and you can say, look, here are all the problems that my industry is facing, and here's how we solve them. But here's how we solve them together. What do you think?
What about some specific examples? I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe I can take my best customer and start. Okay, so we're an agency. We have several customers, right, and our clients. So one of the ones that we're getting like the best result for, right? We can go and like I can email them, hey, look at these results. Oh yeah, those are fantastic. But like, how do I then parlay that into? Because I want to make that person on the other end, my client, I want to make them my advocate, right? My evangelist. But how do I do that on LinkedIn without kind of looking, I guess, tacky maybe or cheesy? I don't.
You see what I'm saying?
It's isolating specific points that people care about the most. So I'll use it as an example. I used to sell mobile mapping equipment, so laser scanning equipment to map roads and highways, railways, bridges, that sort of thing. One of the big problems in the market was that surveyors traditionally had to go and measure roads by either closing the road at night and working at night, which meant that the surveying company had to pay to close the road and then pay their staff overtime to work at night. Or they had to block off sections of the road, work in the daytime, and then it was a safety risk to their staff, which again posed a financial risk as well. So if you have a look at the problems that the target market, so that was the surveying company, were facing, and you isolate each problem in turn. So staff safety is one of them. But you talk about how you can use mobile mapping equipment to keep your staff safer on the road. You're not talking about the benefits of, you're not talking about the features of the mobile mapping equipment. You're not talking about the benefits, but you're talking about the fact that it solves a specific problem. And it really helps that surveying company be better to their staff, which is something that they worry about. It keeps them up at night. And something that when things go wrong, it costs them a lot of money. So instead of bombarding them with lots of information about loads of different features, loads of different benefits, you're pinpointing one specific problem and talking about that.
And then going deep on that, maybe.
Exactly. And then talking about something different, which is, if you were able to survey during the day without closing the roads, you don't have to pay your staff overtime, and you don't have to then close the road and pay the council to close the road. And
those are benefits. And that now you're going into benefits, and that's good. I mean, you should be talking about benefits and not features, right?
But it's isolating the benefits as well. It's not
it's kind first of you isolated,
and saying, here's a massive list of everything I can help you with. It's kind of it's drip feeding one at a time. These like sort of these clear pain points that people face, and talking about them in a way that means something to them, in a way that grabs their attention. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see is that a lot of companies will try and market to multiple market verticals at the same time.
Yeah, it's true.
So another case in point was that two different market verticals won't respond to the same imagery. They won't always respond to the same language. And the same, even if the benefits are the same, the language and the imagery is really important. So it's about, on LinkedIn anyway, it's about being very strategic into your approach. So if you're using LinkedIn for business development, say, right, okay, this month I'm targeting the mining industry, and I'm going to go hard on mining.
I get it.
So all of my imagery, all of my communications, my language, and my connections approach, so I'm going to target specific people in the mining industry, it's all going to be consistent.
Yes.
And then I'm going to then pivot and then do something else, because B2B, commonly you think, oh, right, well, I can benefit so many different industries, so many different people, and they go huge right from the word go.
Too big, too fast. Yeah.
Rein it back. Just
niche.
Get back to the basics. Like, how many conversations do you need to start from a business development point of view? How valuable is your customer to you? And take that into account when you are spending that time starting those conversations.
Right.
Because a lot of people just go, right, how do I scale this?
Yeah.
You can't scale relationship building.
That's true.
It's impossible.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because it's one-to-one. It's human, right? Like, I can't. Right. I mean,
maybe you could if you're high value equipment, services, or whatever. Then that extra care and attention will help you close the deal faster, and it will show that you care.
Tradition is going to have a long sales cycle, so there is. I love this idea of choosing a niche. I'm using it niche, not niche. It is niche. I think that's the correct way. Choosing like a niche and hitting it hard for a month or even a quarter, honestly. I mean, or 2 quarters, like whatever it takes to really get the message out there. And even to your point, even if you have a niche and you've pinpointed a target benefit, I mean, there's probably a problem. There's probably a ton of content or a ton of different imagery and language or messaging and creative that might or might not resonate with a particular person, right? So there's just a ton of content. We call that content theming, and content theming around, and in this case, content theming around a problem. It could be around a benefit, it could be around a feature, but I think it's most impactful when it's around a problem and how your solution solves that. Or if not like your particular solution, like the general solution. Like you had other competitors that sell 3D mapping, equipment. You don't necessarily have to come out and say like it's ours and ours only. You come out and say like, 3D equipment helps there, or 3D mapping helps with this, or solves this in this way.
Yeah, and you know what? When you do it in that way, and you talk about the problems and the solutions, you are the person, you are the individual that works for the company that's remembered for talking about that particular thing.
Yeah.
And the key thing to remember is that nobody cares about the technology or how you actually help them with that problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies just feel like everything needs to be branded up, everything needs to be named for the product name, the company, and it comes across as very promotional and spammy. Whereas if you talk about it just in terms of problem and solution, people will remember you and the company that's being helpful.
Charlie, you're so right, because like I go on LinkedIn and not just LinkedIn, I mean around networking around my local area, right? And people will email me or reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I have this digital marketing idea or problem or whatever, and I thought of you, or I have this website thing and I thought of you. They don't say I thought of web mechanics. They say I thought of you, And they want, because at the end of the day, we say B2B, but it's really P2P, right? It's people to people at the end of the day. So I think that's what you're saying here is like, brand yourself as the person who has identified the problem and is solving it, and it's you who's going to be remembered. It's you they're going to reach out to. It's not going to be like, hey, Charlie's talking about this problem and the benefit, and okay, let me go see who she works for, and then let me go to their site and call their number. No, I'm going to reach out to Charlie.
Yeah, but people do remember company names, though.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that when they go to reach out, like if you're on LinkedIn, like
the person that you remember first.
Yeah.
People do associate, because the more, it's that kind of concept of being relentlessly helpful. So
that's good.
The more you can be identified as that authority, more importantly, that trusted authority. Because again, salespeople have this really bad reputation in whatever industry, that they're only interested in selling you their product or their solution.
Right. Yeah, that's the reputation.
If you can develop a reputation for yourself in that you don't care about what product or solution you're pushing, you just care about giving the customer the right solution and pointing them in the right direction, then you may not win that sale there and then, but you'll have earned their respect. They'll talk about you to other people, and then more often they'll come back to you at a later date. So it has a long-term marketing benefit to the company. you're leaving a really good impression, and
It
people will
is.
remember you and the company that you work for as well. So you don't need to force the company name or the product name down people's throats. People
Right.
don't care about that.
Yeah, they don't. They care about the solution. They care about their problem. Their itch being scratched, so to speak, right? Their problem being solved. And if a person can do that, and they work for some company, then that's great. I think this is what I say about social media in general, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever. You have to be active first and foremost. You have to be on there, like doing things, right? Commenting, liking, and posting. But then, more importantly, you have to add value. If you're just in there shoving down your features and benefits and your logo and your brand, and that's not adding value, right? So I think what you're saying here is, hey, if you add value first, be relentlessly helpful, the value will come back to you naturally. That's what it sounds like.
That,
I love it.
And bring your market into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with them, not at them.
Not at them. Nice. So that's like at tagging. So Charlie, unfortunately, I put a limit on these podcasts, so I want them to be only less than 30 minutes. So my time is coming up. I want to go into more tactical things, like how do you bring them in, like tactically, like on LinkedIn? Like, do you mention them? Do you create a group, or what do you do? Not for this episode, but maybe for another one, if you'd be willing to
join. Absolutely.
Now, if the listeners want to take your course, how do they find
that? So I have a free training webinar.
Awesome.
Or rather, I will, by the time this podcast is released, I will have a free training webinar which runs on autopilot.
Okay.
Up until now, I've been doing it live.
Good for you.
And so my approach is always deliver loads of value. And then, if you want to learn more, then I'll give you the options to do that. So my website, sorry?
Go ahead. Your website is,
Oh, yeah. My website is charliewhyman.com. So Charlie with an IE, Whyman, Whyman. There is a link on there. I've got a free blueprint which walks you through my entire process for using LinkedIn for B2B lead generation and sales. And then, yes, I do have a free training webinar, which, if you feel like it's all salesy, then tell me. It isn't, because I hate that. You sign up to a webinar and you just sold to instantly.
I know.
So yeah, I have a free training webinar, and then there are offers at the end of it if you'd like more help and more support. But yeah, as you said, I am due to have a baby in a couple of weeks, so at the moment I'm very much relying on my automated processes. But I will be keeping an eye on my sort of LinkedIn and everything like that.
Sure. So we'll put Charlie Whyman in the show notes. So free tools, free webinar, to add value first. If you like that and you like her free tools, she's got a paid tool that, hey, if you like all the free stuff and it adds a ton of value, imagine if you paid her, what would happen, right? So Charlie, thank you so very much for your time. Congratulations again. Appreciate you. All my listeners out there, hopefully you found this helpful. Like, subscribe, share this with a friend. Share it on LinkedIn, actually. That's what you really need to do. And Charlie, thank you again. Congrats. Hope you have a great delivery and happy, healthy baby and family.
Thank you.
Cheers.